Welcome to the Life of Hair. Now, today's episode is a very, very special one indeed. Not because of what we're going to talk about in this episode, but because today, the Life of Hair is exactly 3 years old. It was the 6th of June 2018 that I posted my very first YouTube video. What an amazing journey. It has been a terrible time for a lot of people due to the virus that we shall not name. But for me personally, it's been a monumental, an amazing journey to be on with you guys and to be accepted as somebody that can help you grow as a stylist, inform you, advise you, has been such a massive honour. And to celebrate the 3rd birthday of the Life of Hair and nearly hitting 60,000 subscribers, hopefully at some point today or tomorrow, which is overwhelming when I think about it. We are here at our new home, the Life of Hair studio. I am absolutely thrilled to have a space to bring you so many fresh and exciting ideas. I'm brimming, truthfully brimming. I'm goosebumps all over thinking about the things that I want to bring to you guys through this new space that will be set up as a full-time video studio. And it will eventually look a little bit like a hair salon, but it will also be very much geared up towards creating fresh, new and exciting content for you guys to enjoy as you do now, more of it, more different types of education. And this is also going to provide me the opportunity to share different people's skills and abilities with you, because I am not the only hair educator in the industry, and there's lots of amazing hair educators and lots of amazing hairdressers that I want to use my platform to elevate. So a huge thank you to every one of you that hit that subscribe button, commented down below, hit the like button, and an enormous, from the bottom of my heart, an enormous thank you to everybody who has been a Patreon, who is still a Patreon, and to anybody who wants to further support this journey as the Life of Hair. Please do go down to the description, join up, and there is a whole host of new things coming to anybody who is part of the Life of Hair education platform, which is currently being hosted through Patreon. But there's lots of amazing things I'm going to be doing with that before the year is out, and having this space is only enabling these things to happen. So I'm not going to talk about this week's episode, not a bit, not in this intro. You guys can sit back and enjoy it. I've said everything I need to say in this particular intro. I thank you again, truthfully, from the bottom of my heart. Until next week, enjoy this one, and I'll catch you in the comment section down below. See you soon. So it's a slightly awkward angle to view the root area at. I don't know why I filmed it like this, but I was having a mad 5 minutes. It's almost backwards. But you can see that there's a deeper, darker root area. The blonde comes up really high. And in fact, on the next shot, you can see the kind of demarcation, the line, the contrast between the root area and the blonde. So that line is a big problem. That was a DIY COVID job, so needed that blending out. So the very, very first thing that I've needed to do to correct this balayage type effect is to blend out that line. So I've gone through, I've stretched the colour down to the parietal ridge, to the occipital bone in the back, and created a blend. So the colour that I'm using to do this is a level 7 natural ash tone with a tiny little bit of golden beige in there as well, just to help balance it and kind of fill and create that cooler shade all at the same time. What I'm really trying to do is mimic her natural, and her natural is quite cool, but I don't really want to go in with just NA in case I create a kind of a green effect over any previously yellow hair, created by the lift. So the GB is just there to kind of help prevent and create a little bit of a backstop for me to just go in without pre-pigging. I've talked about this many times in the lives recently that Paul and I do on a Wednesday night. I've talked about it loads in my Patreon classes, but you know, creating a colour that you can simultaneously fill and darken when going 3 or more shades darker, and having that in your toolkit is vitally important for these modern root stretch colours. So gone in and I've ignored the front hairline there. As you can see, that's really important because we want to keep it lighter and brighter around the face. When I go in to fix this in a minute, I'll show you exactly what I do. Now here's a great trick, one that I haven't talked about ever on the channel. I've talked about combing down, using the comb, the angle of the comb, but if you want to really spread the product out, using a paddle brush is an extremely useful thing to do. It really does drag the colour down the hair. You don't press too hard, you just put the teeth on the head and you just comb down, and it pulls the colour down in a very kind of random way. It works really, really nicely. You should give it a go. It's if you want definitely more of a kind of ombre effect. But I'm going to go back in and balayage this hair with the root colour on. So I'm not going to remove the root colour. I'm going to go straight in and start balayaging over the top. Now I've gone in with a 7N and 7GB colour at the root area. But that's okay, because if it drops to a 6, I'm kind of not bothered. Remember, obviously, if you leave some colours on, they will keep depositing colour and they will go a bit darker than you were expecting. And if that happens in this particular instance, I'm perfectly fine with that. Now, in terms of the technique we're using here, we're using 45-degree diagonal backward sections that you've just seen me take. And I am saturating with the brush, and I'm using the hand blending technique to disperse the colour up towards the root area. I'm using a freehand clay lightener with Olaplex Bonder inside to add that extra layer of security as I am going over previously pre-coloured or pre-lightened hair. I am also using a very low peroxide in this instance as well to really ensure that I am retaining as much of the condition of the hair as humanly possible, but cleaning up some of the corrective things that need to happen within this technique, because it has certainly seen quite a few things since I last did it. So as I go through these sections, you might have just seen as well that I've placed a foil on the root area to lay my sections on. With the application of this particular technique, what we're doing is saturating with the brush, making sure we've got plenty of saturation, and then utilising the palm of my hand to distribute the product. I'm pressing firmly but not really firm onto the hair. I don't want to push the product through to the section underneath. That won't be any good to anybody, but just kind of putting enough pressure on to distribute the product and create different layers of transition throughout is really, really also mega important in this particular technique, and making sure that your saturation is high enough to get a really good lift on the hair. With these techniques, the whole technique hinges on how well you can distribute your saturation. If you can distribute your saturation smoothly and evenly throughout the hair, then you will have absolute success with these techniques. It isn't as difficult as one might think to kind of achieve these particular looks. It's only a very, very small amount of practice to get these techniques to blend absolutely seamlessly, and I highly recommend you try them. So we're into the front section, and in the front section I'm going to lighten the front piece independently, a bit like a money piece. So I've sectioned off a piece of hair that is about 2.5 inches back from the hairline, going diagonally forwards towards the recession area. My next sections are all diagonal backwards sections as I travel up towards the top of the head. Nothing will change in that instance, just continue as we were. Saturate about 2/3 of the hair in this particular instance, and then blend it up towards the roots. I am overlapping my root colour as I blend, but not like significantly so. Not to the point at which I'm going to impact its lifting ability. I'm just simply butting them up with the blend in mind. If you touch them, it doesn't really make a huge amount of difference, in all fairness. Obviously not many manufacturers, I don't think any manufacturers recommend overlapping bleach onto tint, but if you just butt them up to each other, then it will be fine. Don't worry about it too much. Lots of people ask me, when do I do the roots first? When do I bleach the ends? When do you do root smudges and root tone? And it all really depends. It all depends on the situation. In this particular situation, I've got a strong demarcation from a home colour that I really want to get rid of, and I need the colour on long enough that I can ensure that I'll get rid of that demarcation. So in this particular instance, I did it first. Would I have done this if there was no demarcation? Probably not. I will have done it afterwards. But you'll see later on in the video that actually I go back in and recolour the roots and the ends simultaneously again, because this is a corrective process. There is lots of steps involved in fixing this particular colour. Through some of these ends, there is some gold honey colours that are not necessarily what my client wants. She's used to having really white, clean blonde balayage effect, which you'll see right at the end. But the technique in terms of the way that we go through these sections is very similar, back to front, diagonal sections, working through, blending the product up, utilizing the palm of my hand to distribute the product evenly through the hair, and making sure my saturation is heavy enough that I get a really even, consistent lift. And making sure when you're going over previously pre-lightened hair, you're working with a low volume and trying to keep the colour on the hair for as little time as humanly possible. Remember, the hair will break down in time. The longer the hair is left alkaline, the more damage we do. So it is best to work quickly in these particular instances, and in this particular instance, I'm trying to rattle through this as fast as humanly possible and obviously achieve a good colour at the same time. Don't forget though, really hot tip as well guys, make sure that you do the underneath of your section as you go through these techniques as well. Don't just focus all your attentions on the top and nothing with the underneath, because you will leave lines and blobs and bits of colour that you really didn't want to if you're not careful to check for a soggy bottom. So, and if you're not English, that won't make any sense, because we have a program called the Bake Off, and soggy bottoms were like a no-no when you're baking a cake. Anyway, sorry about that, I digress. Yeah, it's a cracking technique, one that I use all the time. I mean, I've done every single section on this particular colour just to really kind of revive this from a place where it got a little bit out of order. This front section was a bit of terrible filming on my behalf, but you can kind of see what I'm doing. Very similar to what I did on the previous sections. I'm just coming behind the section, saturate the hair, and then blending this section down towards the face. So it's exactly the same premise as all the other sections. It's just done in a small triangle section at the front and then laid back over that piece of foil to prevent it from touching the root area. And this creates a beautiful money piece effect around the face in a freehand style, which looks absolutely killer. A wicked technique. I recommend that you try that one if you don't do any of these techniques. That one is a winner. I've got other videos about that. You may have seen them, and if you've tried it, you will know that that is a knockout technique for a very beautiful, soft and natural money piece. Here's the technique applied, all the ends saturated, diffused up to the root area, still with it on. This is it all rinsed out and back to the section. No toners have been applied at this point. So this gives you an idea of what it looked like before we toned it. Now I'm going to go back in and tone the roots again. I know, again. Now, because the reason I'm doing the roots again is because they're fractionally warmer than I really wanted them to be. The GB and the NA wasn't quite cool enough for what I wanted to achieve with my client's roots. It's not a million miles away, but I'm a bit of a perfectionist, so I do like to try and nail these things. So I've gone back in with the NA on its own again. I could have just put one global toner over the whole lot and be done with it, but I had the time and I really wanted to get it absolutely bang on the money, so I went back in with the NA, and you can see on the screen now the roots look a lot cooler. And then through the ends I did a titanium silver shade on a level 10, mixed with a little bit of a level 10 natural, just to keep it from going too steely. I wanted a white platinum, very blonde end result from this technique, so I made sure that I had some natural in there. Now this is before I curled it. I wanted you to see it as it would be straight, and I think it looks great straight. I just blasted it off with a paddle brush, no styling involved at this point. A lovely super blonde, clean colour there, and a very, very natural, ashy, level 7 root colour, and it just seamlessly transitions into those lighter ends. And that strong demarcation that was the root is gone. And my client was absolutely thrilled with that as a result, and it's cleaned it up absolutely bang on. So hope you like this technique. Here's the finished result. I really, really like this end result. It is clean, beautiful, blended so seamlessly. Sometimes, you know, you just have to step back and put your hands up and say, that one was done by me, and I am extremely proud of this colour correction. And there's nothing wrong with being proud of what we do. All hairdressers do the job because we love doing hair, and it's really, really super important to us to get the job done to a high standard and to a high level of satisfaction. And this one, I was satisfied too. So that's always nice. So until next time, guys, thank you for joining me in this week's episode. And if you do any wonderful work that you really love, then do share it with me on Instagram at The Life of Hair 1. And until next week, do look after yourself. Be good, be safe, be sane. See you soon.